When I captained the Indian hockey team, first time the Indian hockey team is stepping onto Pakistan, the galis the Indian team was getting and the three times that Pakistan scored, the crowd raised the roof of the stadium, and the three times India scored, there was pin drop silence in a 70,000 stadium.
How was it when you walked up to receive the Arjuna Award?
My parents got to go to the Rashtrapati Bhavan and receive the Arjuna Award from late President Abdul Kalam.
Yeah.
Even the bronze medal winners, I think, would make at least 1.5 crore to a couple of crores. That's what my estimates would be.
2028 Los Angeles Olympics. What are your success parameters that you would be tracking?
It takes just 6 grams of gold to lift the worth of a nation. These inspiring words come from my guest today, the incredibly versatile Viren Rasquinha, CEO of Olympic Gold Quest. From captaining the Indian hockey team to earning an MBA from ISB Hyderabad and now leading India's quest for Olympic gold with OGQ, he's a master of reinvention. Join us on the Create Wealth podcast as we delve into what it takes to prepare champions and how you can transform yourself at different stages of life. I'm Sandeep Jethwani, your host and co-founder at Deserve.
Viren, how does a Bandra boy go from being a part of India's junior hockey team and then eventually leading and captaining India's men's team in hockey? How did that journey happen? How did you pick up hockey?
I came from a very conservative middle class background. No one in my family played competitive sport. And back in the 80s, 90s, parents used to be very strict. Dad was an engineer, mom was a doctor.
Yeah.
They were very strict with my eldest brother. And he had no choice but to become an engineer.
Okay.
They were medium strict with the second brother. He was really good in football, played at a very high level, could have gone even further. Eventually, he also became an engineer. And I think I was the third and lucky one because by the time I came, my parents were not bothered at all.
They had run out of energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how I was allowed to play hockey. I was lucky because I came from one of those old traditional Jesuit schools. It was called St. Stanislaus in Bandra.
Yes, of course.
Even more lucky, my coach at the under 10 age group himself was a hockey Olympian.
Okay.
And I think I owe a lot to Coach Maki, and I was very good at school in studies, etc. I was a merit lister on the Mumbai SSC merit list. I was 13th on the Mumbai SSC merit list.
Oh, amazing!
At that time, and I thought that I'll study, I'll play as well. When you're 15, 16, there's no guarantee you'll play for India. You have a dream, but there's no, and I just thought I'll do both and take it one step at a time, see where it takes me.
And during this time you would have had people who would be playing alongside you decide to drop off, and sometimes you would have seen somebody doing really well, but either because of economic situations or because of pressure from the family decided to take a step back from hockey. Was that happening, or did you see?
Absolutely. I think even now you see the biggest drop off of talented players in any sport in the country happens from the 15 to 19 age group, where it may be due to economic reasons, financial concerns. It may be just you're not good enough. You start losing.
Yeah.
From a talented junior, as you go to the seniors, that transition is the most difficult period.
Sure.
That's where India loses most number of talented players.
Yeah.
And of course, we have to see, especially in the metros, education is a far greater opportunity. Sport is a risk. For your kid and my kid, it's so risky. The probability of making it in sport is maybe 0.0001%.
Yeah.
While in education, the probability of making it, the risk factor is much less. And that's why even in an organization like OGQ, where we support the training of more than 400 athletes, and when I look at it, 95% of these athletes actually come from small towns or villages. And for them, the hunger, the fire, the desire to play and make something of their lives is far more. The resilience, the grit to overcome defeat is far more than city kids. You see very rarely athletes from the city making it to the highest level as opposed to today athletes from small towns or villages.
When you look up successful players like Manu Bhakar or Neeraj Chopra, you hear about, okay, they are worth maybe a few $1 million and so on, right? How does a young athlete today think about successful outcomes here?
Prize money is not so much, but today when they win prize money at their respective events is not so much.
Yes.
But today when they win medals at Commonwealth Games, Asian Games, Olympics, I think even a bronze medal winner, if you look at awards from central government, state government, various other organizations, etc., private awards, no, I think each athlete would be making at least a couple of crores. And given the fact that they come from such poor backgrounds, that growing up they would barely even have 2 square meals a day to eat.
Sure.
They are by far securing their future for not just for themselves but several family members as well. So I think take for example the para athletes. I know most of them come from really poor backgrounds.
Yeah.
Even the bronze medal winners I think would make at least 1.5 crore to a couple of crores. That's what my estimates would be, and it's great. They deserve that in every
absolutely.
in this 15-year journey that I have been part of, I can about 5-6 athletes immediately come to my mind whose endorsement value is great to see. I would say initial stage Mary Kom. She was
Yes, of course. Yeah.
was after she won the medal at the 2012 Olympics, just such a inspirational, powerful story.
Yeah.
She did really well. Saina Nehwal as well, of course.
Yes.
She was the queen of badminton.
Yeah.
Really broke the glass ceiling.
Correct.
Made Indians believe that we could beat the Chinese in
Absolutely.
badminton. Something
Yeah.
we would not even think of when we were
badminton,
kids.
table tennis, we wouldn't even imagine that.
Absolutely, yeah. We used to lose 21-5, 21-7, that
Yeah,
type of thing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
for Saina to go and beat the Chinese in China, it was incredible. 2016 Sindhu,
Yeah.
her I think endorsement level went through the roof. 2020 Neeraj Chopra.
Yeah.
24 now I think Manu Bhakar.
Yeah.
Sheetal Devi in
Yeah.
parasport. I think these are some of the athletes that immediately come to my mind who are commanding really good endorsement fees. But I just want to point out that in terms of financial stability for athletes, take for example athletes supported by OGQ. Currently we look after the training of about 400 athletes. Broad division is 300 from Olympic sports, 100 from Paralympic sports. The good thing with all these athletes, they might not even reach the Olympics. Not everyone reaches the Olympics.
I'm sure.
Also. But they all play regularly and consistently for India for many years. In the sports that we are involved in, every single athlete that's supported by us, when they turn 18, generally they get public sector unit jobs, PSU jobs,
Nice.
like Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, ONGC,
Sure.
Punjab Police, Haryana Police, Punjab National Bank, etc., Manipur Police.
Yeah.
These are very senior, fairly good positions,
Yeah.
good salaries,
Yeah.
good perks, and financially very secure and stable jobs.
Sure.
Once these athletes finish their playing careers, they actually put into the mainstream where they get the relevant training and then they go back into their job. So
Sure.
you're talking about athletes, many of them who are not even graduates.
Yeah.
So through education, they would have never got the kind of financial stability.
Correct. And
that
these
they
are
would
very
have.
hard jobs to get into. There are like lakhs of people giving
Absolute.
exams for these kind of jobs.
Absolutely. Stability wise, and I have to give it to these public sector units. I think they have realized much more than the public sector the value of the qualities that athletes can bring to the
Absolutely.
table. I mean, you look at someone like an Somaya, former India hockey captain,
Okay.
3-time Olympian. Somaya became an executive director at Bharat Petroleum. He was in the top 12 decision makers in Bharat Petroleum. He also did his MBA, was very smart off the pitch. I think the private sector is yet to understand the qualities that sports persons can bring to the table.
Yeah, I think there needs to be greater recognition of that for sure. Do you think like these guys have the right support systems in terms of now that this money has come, how should they deploy it?
No,
Or-
I don't think they don't have the awareness right now, the awareness, the knowledge, and the support systems to help them invest it in the right way, I think.
Sure.
But they need basic financial planning and financial management and just the ability to invest much better.
Viren, like, as a founder, sometimes as a manager, you're sort of leading team into very tough situations where there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of sort of scrutiny coming from the outside. And this is probably one of those kind of events, right? When you are leading a team which is under tremendous pressure, right? And the fear of failure is probably at its peak. What goes on behind the scenes? Like, how do you motivate people? Because let's say you've conceded a goal early on in the match. Now what happens? Like, how do you like rile up the troops, so to say, and make them like go back in with the same amount of energy?
No matter how much you plan and prepare in the dressing room,
Yeah.
when you go on the pitch, nothing goes to plan. When you're playing world-class opponents like, say, Australia, Holland, Germany, Pakistan in those days, no top opponent will allow you to be in an area of comfort. They will always put you in a zone of discomfort.
Sure.
When Australia starts the match, they'll start at such high pace, tempo, intensity that your heart rate will go to 200 in the first minute of the match.
Wow. Yeah.
And you have never experienced that in training before.
Yeah.
No training can replicate the tension and pressure, and it's like a speeding truck hitting you every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And Australia will not give you time to think. They will not give you time to breathe. They will not give you time to look up. I was a centre half, always playing in the centre of the pitch, thick of the action. And every time I played against Australia about 30 times in my career, every time I got the ball in the centre of the pitch and I looked up, only the yellow shirts are visible. The blue shirts are not visible only. Because Australia will not allow you to play comfortably.
Yeah.
And that's why historically we struggle so much. Like in cricket, they're so strong in hockey.
Yeah.
And this time at the Paris Olympics, we beat Australia at the Olympics after 52 years. Margins at the highest level of sport are very, very fine, and it boils down to the 1%ers.
Yeah.
But if we get 1% better in coaching, 1% better in nutrition, 1% better in recovery, in infrastructure, in equipment, in physiotherapy, in strength and conditioning, you're talking about cumulatively 7-8% better. That's the difference between winning the medal or being a participant like me.
And I think it's very similar when you're talking about any business, right? Like a lot of times people ask us like questions like what is your moat, or what is the one thing that you will do that will get you ahead? And oftentimes the answer is that there's no one thing. Like there's a combination of very small things incrementally which compound to becoming something very large. One of the incredible things as you were talking is the fact that how vividly you remember like that the last 20 seconds of that match where we didn't hit the goal but hit the goal post. How was it when you walked up to receive the Arjuna Award? Like how does that moment feel like?
Oh, the funny thing is that I unfortunately wasn't there in India to receive the Arjuna Award.
What are
I
you
was
saying?
because I was in Germany playing the World Cup with the Indian team, and it unfortunately overlapped with the Arjuna Award function. So that was unfortunate for me personally. But I think the great part is that my parents got to go to the Rashtrapati Bhavan and receive the Arjuna Award from late President Abdul Kalam.
Yeah.
And from my dad who loves sport, like now he's retired, all he does is sit on the sofa and watch sport from morning to night.
Yeah.
And I think just to have the opportunity to send my parents to Delhi, for them to go to the Rashtrapati Bhavan, to meet President Kalam, for my dad to receive the award from him, I think for me it was better than me receiving it myself. So
yeah, and it's a memory of a lifetime for the entire family, right? Like everyone now remembers.
Just to see the pride on his face, it meant everything to me. I mean, all the years of in sport, people tend to see only the finish line, and you forget that there's so much, literally blood, sweat and tears that have gone behind it, and how many times you fail, how many times you lose. And quite honestly, I continue to lose much more than I won in life.
Like I distinctly remember hearing about you at that time. You were captaining India. How was life at that point of time? How was it leading the Indian hockey team? What were some of the challenges that you were going through?
I wanted to play for India. I wanted to captain the Indian hockey team. I wanted to play at the Olympics. I wanted to win an Olympic medal. I was very lucky. My first 3 dreams got fulfilled. Just the last one of winning an Olympic medal myself as a player, that remained unfulfilled. But undoubtedly the most emotional moments of my life was when I was playing for India. Nothing can replace the emotion of putting on the blue jersey and representing India. I remember when I captained the Indian hockey team for the first time. It was in 2004 after the Athens Olympics, and it was an India-Pakistan test series. There were 4 matches in Pakistan first and then 4 matches in India. And that was such an emotional series because it was the first time that India was playing Pakistan in any bilateral series in any sport after the Kargil war.
Got it.
So there was massive security on both sides of the border. We played 4 matches in Pakistan. I remember we played at Lahore. I think there were about 70,000 packed into the stadium because first time the Indian hockey team is stepping onto Pakistan shores.
It was not sport, it was war.
There was so much security from the airport to the hotel. I've never seen so much security in my life. The whole hotel was cordoned off for the India and Pakistan teams because there was so much tension in the air between both countries. I remember walking onto the pitch at Lahore and the noise was deafening. And the galis the Indian team was getting was and you understand Punjabi in Lahore, so it was an incredible atmosphere. And the funny thing about that match is it finished 3-3, and the 3 times that Pakistan scored, the crowd raised the roof of the stadium. And the 3 times India scored, there was pin drop silence in a 70,000 stadium. Like that was the best. Those were some of the best moments when you can actually hear pin drop silence in a 70,000 stadium. So just some great moments. I remember also at Chandigarh when we came back to India. Chandigarh Sector 42 Stadium. Again, Punjab, Chandigarh, hockey so popular. I was captaining, we walked onto the pitch. There are thousands of people sitting on the roof of the stadium. And when you walk from the dugout onto the pitch, you line up there and the Jana Gana Mana plays. And 40,000 people sing the Jana Gana Mana, you get goosebumps over there. So just moments that those days there was no social media, no smartphones, so I hardly have any photos, videos, etc., but it's all in the head.
All of this success was happening. You were leading the Indian hockey team, and then you decide to switch gears and go to management school at Indian School of Business. How did that decision happen?
One day a time would come where I would have to stop playing hockey. And I was thinking about it for a while. Hockey is a sport where you also get a lot of injuries. It's brutal in that sense. I've had so many injuries, back, knees, ankles, you name it. I've got 4 fractures just on the fingers of my right hand. Every time you get a finger fracture, you're out for at least 3 to 6 months. Once I fractured my thumb so badly, I could not even hold a glass of water because you realize that you require your thumb to hold anything.
Correct.
So let alone the hockey stick, I couldn't hold a glass. I couldn't even button my shirt. And because in hockey you get hit with the stick and the ball all the time. And injuries frustrate you. When you get injured, your fitness drops from 100 to 0. Your confidence drops from 100 to 0. You lose your place in the team. Then you have to fight your way back into the team right from scratch.
Sure.
Because another fit player has taken your place in the team.
Correct.
So there are no free lunches over
Exactly.
here.
Yeah.
So it used to take a toll. Also, I was playing, training, traveling 11 and a half months a year for 10 years of my life. And it just came a point of time where I thought that, I should look at the next phase of my life. So I started studying for my GMAT simultaneously when I was playing. And that's tough because when you're training 8 hours a day, every day, the moment you pick up a book, you feel sleepy. So that was the hard part. So but I did fairly well in my GMAT. I got into ISB.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that, so when I was 15, everyone wanted me to study and I wanted to play. And when I was 27, everyone wanted me to play and I wanted to study.
Yeah.
So the life had turned a full circle.
And you were taking those counterintuitive calls at the right time also, right? Like it was at the time when everyone wanted you to study, you decided to push forward and be in sport and then flip the switch later on in life. Yeah. You know, you were transitioning, then when the ISP stint is coming to an end, you're thinking about maybe corporate careers, and there is this corporate and sport intersection, which is OGQ, which at that time was still a young baby, right? I remember hearing about it when Prakash Padukone and Geet Sethi put it together. How did you decide to get involved with OGQ?
Oh, that's another funny story because I actually, at the end of the year, I had a campus placement, conventional corporate job, signed up.
And you accepted the offer.
This was 2009, really bad year.
Yeah. So you were lucky to get a job.
I was lucky to get a job. And then I happened to meet Geet Sethi and Prakash Padukone, and both of them had started this not-for-profit foundation called OGQ. And they were looking for a CEO. Now, and they approached me. Now, for me, Geet and Prakash were gods in the sporting world. I couldn't say no to them. But I think in a way, OGQ gave me the platform to help the next generation of athletes do something which I couldn't do, which is win an Olympic medal. And that's how I joined OGQ 1st June 2009, just completed 15 years. And very proud to say that in the last 15 years, we've looked after the training of more than 600 of India's best young Olympic and Paralympic athletes.
Yeah.
India's won 21 medals in the last 4 Olympics, London 2012, Rio, Tokyo and Paris. And the training of 13 of the 21 medal winners at the Olympics was looked after by OGQ. In this last Paris Paralympics, India won 29 medals. 25 of the 29, their training was supported by OGQ. So it's been incredible. A marvelous journey, so emotional. I'm just so happy that we can change lives. Lives change, lives of families change. And also I think 1 million young kids get inspired when they watch Manu Bakar on TV, when they watch Hital Devi on TV. And on one side, Sandeep, we make all Indians feel proud when our athletes win medals. But I think more importantly is 1 million young kids sitting in some village in the country watch and they get inspired and they have a hope and a dream. And that is intangible, but it's just so important for our young kids to have hope and a dream.
One other aspect I wanted to cover is that OGQ has just done such fantastic work. It's also sort of been supported by the public infrastructure that is evolving in India, which is the public support systems. How has that changed between the time that you were playing and now that you are helping other players?
First of all, I'd just like to say that the government by far is the biggest stakeholder in sport. And I myself have seen it from close quarters. Like I said, I was in the governing body of SAI, PMO Task Force, now Mission Olympic Cell, which is the highest government body that looks after Olympic preparations. And the speed of approval of proposals from athletes, the verification of proposals, ensuring everything is in order, the disbursement of the funding, I think it's simply top class.
It seems like this passion, planning and execution is sort of coming together to be able to deliver better outcomes. 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. what's the outlook like? Like what are your like success parameters that you would be tracking?
Um, Obviously, the one very obvious parameter for everyone in the country is medals, right?
Sure.
And it was super disappointing that India didn't get 10 medals. Sometimes the hard part is that margins between winning the medal and not winning the medal are so fine. So if you look at it, India won 6 medals, 6 fourth place finishes, and you're talking about micro margins in all of them.
Yeah. On any other day, that would be a medal.
Yes, absolutely. It's just a matter of sometimes that day, sometimes the luck of what happens. Good shot, bad shot, missing the line by a millimeter here or there. So that was better. But for the first time, India had 23 top 8 finishes.
Yeah.
23 top 8 finishes. And again, the margins are so fine. Now, as a country, we need to figure out how to bridge that final mile from top 4 to the medal, from bronze to silver, silver to gold. Those top 8, 23 finishers to get into the medal bracket. And it'll boil down to the 1%ers to do the simple things right consistently every single day. And I feel that we're on the cusp of achieving something great. So the answer here is to win Olympic medals. You have to focus on excellence. At the Olympics, you play to your strengths. You do not try to correct your weaknesses, because the gestation period to produce results will be 15-20 years. And the harsh reality is no one wants to fund a 15-year project.
Correct.
Everyone wants results in 4 years or 8 years at the maximum. And when you produce results, it gives you additional budgets to go to the next sport and the next sport. But you stay focused. As a country, I think one of the important things for India for LA28 is to stay really focused. In just badminton, boxing, shooting, archery, wrestling, there are about 90 medals up for grabs, 90. India has not even won 10% of those.
Incredible.
So much to do.
Viren, your journey has been inspirational. It's fascinating. And all of us have so much to learn from this. We're also grateful for what you've done, both as an individual sports person, but also at OGQ. So thank you for that. And thank you for joining us at the Create Well podcast.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being over here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks.